Manchester United 0, Liverpool 3. Another, I'm going to say battering really. Scoreline 3-0 Steve against Liverpool. It's something that we keep seeing this, isn't it?
The scoreline was a battering. Have you seen the XG?
Yeah, it was very even, wasn't it?
Yeah, and actually 3 shots on target each.
This is what Liverpool do against us. However many shots they have on target, that's how many goals they get. I think they had 7 shots on target in the 7-0, didn't they? Or 8?
I think. Pretty sure when we lost 6-1 to City, they had 7.
Yeah, but what? So
5.
what's that then? What is that? Is that a quality?
That's scoring fucking goals, Joseph.
So why can't we do that?
I don't know. Like when I look at this United squad, and I look at this team that we're able to put out at the moment, I don't know where the goals come from. I said that in my preview yesterday. Like I'm pretty happy with the defense, and people are going to be like, "We just lost 3-0. What are you on about?" I think that defense is a good defense. I think the midfield we all know needs work. We all didn't necessarily think Ugarte was going to be enough on his own. He's going to have some serious expectation on his shoulders after that today. We was all thinking, okay, Ugarte, Rabiot, we're going to get 2, maybe, or Amrabat back. Like, we all thought it was going to be somewhere else in the mix. And then, obviously, Mount gets injured. Casemiro decides to just lose, 50% of his ability in one game. And then you're right, Toby Collier, come on down, son.
Yeah.
That we are struggling in midfield a little bit. But the attack is the worrying thing, because I just don't see where the goals come from watching us all, on pre-season and from the start of this Premier League season. I can see patterns of how we build up. Okay, we made mistakes in the build-up today, 4 of, and we conceded goals directly from those. Not good, in no way, shape or form. But I do see more recognizable patterns of play once we get on the ball and in possession. The problem is when it gets to the final third, decision making isn't there, quality isn't there, sort of the spark just isn't there. Marcus looks like he could play from now until he retires and never score another goal. Garnacho doesn't really strike me as someone that's going to score a goal for us at the moment. Xerxes got 2 put on a plate for him by Marcus today, couldn't finish, and that's maybe the difference between us and Liverpool today, is that we had a couple of chances, we didn't put them away. Bruno looks like, when was the last time he scored? Feels like ages. Was it last week?
It wasn't, no, but it was toward the end of last season. He had a bit of a hot streak, but yeah, he's not started well.
He's not scoring a load of goals. Ahmad looked likely when he came on, but you're thinking, no one's sitting here thinking Ahmad is Mo Salah kind of level where you go, fucking hell, don't give him half a yard in the box. You're thinking he's a good lad that you want to see progress this season and get a few goals, but you're not going to bank on him. No one's sitting there going, Ahmad can get us 40 goals a season. And no one's even thinking about Højlund. When you look at what's to come back into the squad, you've probably got 3 first-team players, maybe 4 with Mount. You've got Shaw, you've got Højlund, and you've got Ugarte. They don't turn this squad into title contenders, right? And maybe that was never the case for us this season anyway. I don't think it was. I think I had us finishing 3rd or 4th. Unless you was fucking giddy, you probably had the same.
Yeah, I did.
But, that's where you ultimately want to be. I think we solved a lot of problems in this window, but we didn't necessarily take the squad forward. And I wonder if goals and depth in midfield is what's going to be hurting us. Maybe last year they looked at the lack of defence and went, well, that really hurt us last season. We'll not have that again. But, now it's maybe midfield and the forward line that are going to hurt us.
Yeah. I was talking about this before the game. United's 4 wingers this season are Rashford, who's been out of form for pushing 18 months. Garnacho, who's a young kid who's still trying to prove that he can be a top-level player, very exciting, but hasn't put out those, like you said, 20, 30, 40 goals a season numbers by any means. Then it's Ahmad, who's barely ever started for Man United, really, and Anthony, who pretty much everyone, and I think even the bloke who signed him, now thinks isn't up to it at Man United. And that's
I think
it.
It's only Anthony thinks that Anthony could play for United.
Yeah, that's it. They're the 4, and that's the only 4 we've got at the whole club. And, I was less sort of critical of the potential Sterling signing because I thought you're only an injury or, what happens if Garnacho's poor this season or takes a step backwards? Then you've got, you're desperate for Rashford to find his previous form. And we kind of are desperate for that. Because I think, like you said, in the final third, if Rashford isn't bringing his 20, 30 goal a season, Rashford, we could end this year with everyone on about 10 goals. And that's a big concern, isn't it?
Or like fucking 5 or 6, Joseph.
Yeah, I know.
I think Rashford and Garnacho was 7 apiece in the league last year.
Yeah.
It's not enough.
No. Just on Casemiro.
By a fucking long way.
Just on Casemiro a little bit more then, because obviously he's the one taking all the heat for this. Those first 2 goals, are they all on him? What else went wrong in those build-up? Do you blame anything else for that? Is it the way we're trying to play out from the back? Or is it just as simple as he messed up twice, we got punished twice?
No, there's always shades of grey with it. Yes, he's taking the bulk of the grief for those, and rightly so, right? As the most senior player, the one that's won everything, I dare say probably on the fucking most on the pitch, he's got to be better in those situations. You're reliant on your number 6 almost. If you think back to your Michael Carricks, or even probably the standout number 6 in the world at the moment is Rodri. You see Rodri making fuck-ups in that area that cost City. I mean, City build up in the same shape, because I've seen people criticising the 3-1-6 and 3-2-5 that we're building up in. City build up in the exact same fucking shape, right? But what you don't see is Rodri just dropping clangers in that area. And Kobe Mainoo dropped one as well. Let's not, protect an academy player out of a Casemiro fuck-up. I mean, the game was gone following the 2 from Casemiro. The third one was just a fucking cherry on top, if anything. But he did make the same mistake, basically losing the ball on the edge of our third and causing us to be overloaded on a counter. You might see some adaptations to this throughout the league, not just with United. I hope there's adaptations at United, but you might see adaptations throughout the league for this, because every single team is building up with a 3. Every team. From Brighton to Ipswich to United and City and even Liverpool, right? Every team is building with a 3. Then what's beyond that 3 can be any number of combination of whatever. There's a 1, there's a 2, there's a 3, there's a 4. It varies very much on everyone, but it is a 3 for every single team. Now, if teams are starting to increasingly press with a 4, because that's what Liverpool did, it was a 4-2-4 press, the exact same press we had against Brighton, and we were successful with against Brighton last week, forcing errors in Brighton's back line. If there's going to be more teams like that, there's a lag. Something happens. There's a solution or a problem that emerges because of the thing that's happened, and then their solutions are found. But the solutions can take weeks or months, and you have no idea of knowing where it's going to be. But if teams are going to increasingly build up with 3, and teams are increasingly deciding that actually pressing with 4, because you end up with such high percentage chances. When you think about winning the ball on the edge of the opposition third while they've got 3 blokes and you've got at least 4 that are winning the ball in those areas.
Look at Liverpool's first goal today. Perfect example.
Yeah, your path to goal is fucking simple-ish. Versus if I say to you, right, Joe, there's the ball on your goal line, get it up the other end and get a shot off. Yeah. It's infinity more difficult to do that. So if people are going to start going, it is worth the risk for us to underload in midfield and defence to really have a difficult forward line press. Now, you're either going to see an adaptation in terms of teams dropping 4 back to get through that first initial third and into the middle third a little bit more secure. You might see more like fucking 3-1-6 inside your own half and people just forgoing any outlet just to get the ball into that middle third. You might see teams just going long. You might see teams utilising someone like a big fucking unit like Xerxes and going, the percentages say send it up to him and see what he can do is better than trying to play out. You might see those adaptations. I don't know what those adaptations are going to be. I'm just going to watch it the same as everyone else. But I'm getting the impression that at the moment, pressing is particularly effective for teams. We're seeing, I would love someone, I bet Opta have done it. What percentage of Premier League goals, because it was 100% of our game today, what percentage of Premier League goals are coming from fuck-ups playing out? Jesus, man, if it's 50%, that's insane. So he only used to score a quarter of goals from set pieces, and people think they're important.
I saw this week mistakes from goalkeepers trying to play out from the back and people losing the ball playing out from the back. I feel like it's higher at the start of seasons as well, and that's just my eye, just like my opinion of what I think. It feels like teams get into that style as the season goes on. At the start of the year, you see higher scoring games, more mistakes in the build-up play. Then people get used to it. People get a bit more tired as well. The presses slow down and people get used to being on the ball, and that drops off a little bit. But it feels like the last few weeks there's been tons of this. Tons of teams losing the ball, trying to play out from the back. Just on Casemiro, a second. He had the lowest pass completion of any midfielder on the pitch today for United or Liverpool. You mentioned Rodri. Last season, he had a 91.7% pass completion percentage. Casemiro's today was 73%. And they're like creative number 10 kind of, I'm taking chances with every pass kind of numbers. Is it just as simple as he's taking too many risks? Is it on him, or is it he's slow and he's old, or is he just being careless and thoughtless?
It feels like he's being careless and thoughtless because there's sometimes that he does something in a game. Still, there was probably moments, a couple of passes today where you go, ooh. But to be a good football team, you don't lift the ceiling of the team, you raise the floor. And it's the floor that catches you out. It's the mistakes that you lose games on. Now, you might require a bit of moment of magic to go and score a goal at the other end and maybe even a mistake from the opposition. But that just compounds the point, doesn't it? You need to be able to eliminate weaknesses in teams. And I didn't think Casemiro's been bad, actually, the last couple of weeks. But on today's showing, I'd be shocked if he starts the next Premier League game for Manchester United. He got hooked at half-time for a guy making his Premier League debut. That's mental.
That is mental, yeah. Yeah, they've got 2 weeks now, haven't they, to get Ugarte up to fitness, because he hasn't played much pre-season, but he did play that Copa America tournament, so he's had some game time, but other than that, he's way off. Just a couple of other people I want to talk about quickly, because there's a lot of chat about Marcus Rashford. What did you make of his game today? Slightly, I thought, didn't really get going at all, but he did put those two crosses in for Xerxes. The two best chances we had came from Marcus Rashford's creative play, which is something that it hasn't always been his strongest suit. Were you impressed with that, or did you just think it was a disaster today?
No, I wouldn't have said I was impressed by that. No, I think, a wide forward's job, they're not fucking wingers in the Beckham and Giggs sense, are they? No. A wide forward's job is to create and to score. Right, you want to be coming off the pitch having created and having had some shots, and I think he erred and hesitated a couple of times. Like, you're playing against fucking Trent, mate. Get in the fucking box, knock it past him, and fucking get in the box, because he's a weakness defensively. Now, him and Garnacho, there was a couple of times. There was one point we went down the left, and then we switched it really patiently across to the right. And we played, Liverpool defence was kind of stacked over to the left and hadn't really gone and covered the sort of our right-hand edge of their box, their left. And Garnacho got the ball, and if he takes a heavy touch into the box, penetrates, he can probably get a shot or a cross-off from the area that he's in. And he fucks about with it, and he tries step overs and this, that, and the other, and they end up getting two back, and the move ends up breaking down. But the same thing was happening on Marcus's side as well. Like, sometimes you have to, like you said, if Casemiro's fucking losing the ball all the time, that's a problem. If Onana's losing it all the time, that's a problem. If the centre half's losing it all the time, that's a problem. The guys that play up the pitch, I've never been asked about Bruno losing the ball, because he creates the most chances in the league. He gets free reign to do that. You have to be risky to make things happen in the final third, but it's the time and the place to do it. And it felt like both Garnacho, Rashford for sure, but even Bruno and Xerxes, it just wasn't enough killer instinct in them to force something to happen. Is that a confidence thing? Is that, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the answer to why they weren't doing that, but you're just thinking, fucking hell, lads, like, get into them. Like, let's penetrate into that fucking box and unload and have some shots. Now, I think we had 9 shots, did we, or something today?
Yeah, like Rashford didn't have a single shot, just so you know.
But was he in position to shoot? Yes. A few times, actually. Now, they've got Ruud van Nistelrooy in that changing room, which there was a couple of blokes on the way out that was talking about, do we get rid of Erik ten Hag and let's get Ruud in? And I'm sure that's going to pick up all sorts of momentum if we don't turn around. But Ruud's in the fucking building. Like, are you saying let's get Ruud in because it's not working with Erik ten Hag? Like, Ruud's just fucking doing kick-ups in training on his own. Like, is he having no input into this whatsoever? But with Ruud van Nistelrooy being there, it doesn't happen overnight. Nothing happens overnight. Like, people are saying, he signed Ugarte, why did we lose today? Even though he didn't play. And you're thinking, fuck me. Like, people expect immediate, instant results. Ruud van Nistelrooy being in that change room with people, Ruud was the selfishest forward Manchester United have ever had. By a long, long way. And if you have a forward that's that sort of selfish mentality and was as good as Ruud van Nistelrooy, you have an absolute lethal goal scorer. Now, we've got a forward line that is either too scared or isn't confident enough to be able to pull the trigger or be as selfish as Ruud was. And I think if anyone could tell them, lads, go in the fucking game for us, it's Ruud.
Yeah.
And I believe he is all over that sort of stuff, but we need to see it, don't we?
Yeah, we do. And it might take a little bit of time. And time maybe isn't on Ten Hag's side, because we have to talk about the manager before we go. Obviously, a lot of the people who wanted Ten Hag out last season haven't had their mind changed by 2 losses in the first 3 games this season. I know you were more defensive of the manager, or certainly wanted to give him a bit more time. Firstly, how has your opinion of the manager changed, if at all, and how do you think these results are sort of affecting his chances of a long-term success at United? Because it does feel like, I don't think he's going to get sacked this week or anytime soon, but the pressure isn't going away, is it? Certainly.
No, there's always going to be pressure at United. And the 2 trophies will not keep him safe forever. I don't think winning the FA Cup changed anyone's minds. I think they were probably always going to do the review that they did. I could be wrong on that. Maybe they were going to change him and the FA Cup win changed that. But I don't think that's the case. I think they did the review. And here's the thing. They did the review.
Yeah.
Like, they had the opportunity to fuck him off in the summer, and they didn't do that. Has he signed his new contract?
It's not a new contract. It was the optional extension on his original contract, which has been
he's extended his contract, but it ain't new.
Yeah.
That's quite key, and that's quite interesting, I think. Yeah. It's backing him without backing him at all.
Yeah.
I think that there's doubts about him from the Ineos side, and I think some of those are probably valid, and I think some of the reasons behind last season's failure is also valid. It's where do you weigh the balance of probabilities up in terms of the blame, and if they've done the review to look into who can replace him, and the answer was, well, fucking no one, it's Erik ten Hag's to lose, why then sign a couple of players of people that have worked with him in the past? Now, you might go, well, they'll work for whatever style of play and whatever manager we bring in, so who gives a fuck, sign them anyway. But why back him to the hilt like you have done, and they have done in the window? That there's still holes in the squad, but I just think that shows where the start line was for us, not where the finish line was for us. I think the start line was so fucking far back that it's required the sort of investment that we've seen over the last 3 windows. Now, with all of those factors at play, yeah, Ineos are going to be well fucking annoyed. But there's a long way from being proper fucking annoyed and needing it to be better, and clear your fucking desk out with bringing Brendan Rodgers in. Because when you look at some of the fucking names that we've been linked with,
yeah, it's not exciting, is it?
At all. There's literally probably one manager that I would be like, oh, for, and that's Nagelsmann.
Yeah.
Outside of him, like, you bring in Tommy Tuchel, you go,
yeah.
You bring in Gareth Southgate, and I genuinely throw up all over the place, and myself. Like, who do you bring in that brings a more guaranteed level of success? And why would they bring in a more guaranteed level of success if they still have the same injuries that Erik ten Hag has got? Yes, there's been negatives. Yes, there was record-breaking negatives towards in last season in terms of finishing bottom of the Champions League group and finishing 8th. Those are things that Manchester United haven't done before. Okay, fine. But you also can't discount what happened in the first season when he didn't have quite so many injuries. And you also can't discount what happened in the second season when there was a game where they went, you probably really need to win this fucking game, i.e. the FA Cup final. And he went and did it.
Yeah.
You have to take it in as a big picture thing. I think on the whole, he feels like the right man. That isn't excusing him in any sense for some of the failures that we've seen. But I think we see him learning from different mistakes. I don't think there's been a consistent problem from one season to the next into this season with Manchester United under Erik ten Hag. First season was like phenomenal at home, dog shit away, couldn't work that out. Second season, it was kind of a little bit of dog shit everywhere, but in both seasons, he's gone really, really, really fucking far in cup competitions, almost unfathomably so, beating some monstrous teams on the way. And this season, we have seen an evolution to the style of play that United want to play with some of the signings that he's wanted to sign. I just don't know. Now you're thinking, okay, form-wise, is Ahmad, Garnacho, Rashford, Bruno, Xerxes, Højlund enough? Like, if I said to you, like, rank United's starting 3 today in the league, where do you rank them?
Rashford, Xerxes, Garnacho. It's not...
Is it top 10?
It's top 10, yeah. It's not as good as Arsenal or City's.
Or Chelsea.
It's not as good as Chelsea. It's not as good as
too.
Liverpool's. It's probably not quite as good as Tottenham's.
As good as Tottenham? Is it?
Probably-ish.
Do we have a player as good as Son?
No, not at the minute. Rashford at his best is in that conversation, but that we ain't got that.
Is it as good as Newcastle's?
Yes. I think it's Harvey Barnes, Isaac and Jacob Murphy. And Gordon. Maybe not.
Gordon. No, right? So, do you know what I mean? So you start actually being realistic about where this forward line is. Now, if you sort of talked about the back four that started today...
I think that's easily top 4.
I'm not saying it's the best in the league, but I would agree. It's Champions League, right?
Yeah.
So, and actually, there was a few moments today where I fucking loved De Ligt. I really wanted to be sitting here talking about how De Ligt did fucking perfect.
It was really good, wasn't
he? There was a couple of moments where I just had it rolling around my head with that fucking prick Graham Souness talking about how he's lightweight, and there was a couple of times where he's fucking mullered people, and there was the foul, which was a fucking shocker, and I loved it.
Yeah.
And I think most of the Stretford end also loved it at the same time as well. Liverpool on a breakaway, and he's just fucking steamed in there. It was reminiscent of Nemanja, and I am so fucking here for that shit.
Yeah. There's one positive at least. I thought Van Dijk, he was all right. De Ligt, our Dutch defender, was very, very good. Right, Steve, we could probably talk all night about this, the amount of things that went wrong in that game and the amount to worry about as a United fan. But
listen, Joe, here's what we need to talk about.
Go on.
Your For You page on Instagram. Show the people.
Well, this isn't what I expected to show people. But for some reason, it's just all watermelon videos. I don't know how that's happened. I don't know what's going on. I know most people is his boobs. Mine's simply just watermelon. I mean, I didn't expect to end the video like this, but if you've got watermelon Instagram as well, let me know in the comments. Thank you, Steve. Manchester United 0, Liverpool
just comment
3.
what your For You page on Instagram is, because mine is fucking weirdly Cowboys.
Yep.
A lot of multicam and Land Rovers, and a different sort of melon.
Right. I'll see you in a bit.